Minister, first of all, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
I think that one thing that many Americans are struggling to understand is, why is Greece struggling to pay its debts?
Well, because our debts are very large, and because we're running very high deficits. And unfortunately, it's been something that has been growing over time, and not enough attention was paid to it by the previous government. We have a deficit which is close to 13%, 12.7%, and a debt exceeding 100% of GDP, with a very dangerous dynamic, and it's got to be controlled. This is why we're taking the kind of very difficult measures that we're taking now, increasing tax rates, VAT, excise taxes, cutting nominal wages in the public sector. Difficult measures, but we have to do it, because otherwise we won't be able to finance our borrowing requirements, which are quite large this year.
At this point, is there any concern that the crisis could spread in a way that the United States might feel the economic impact?
I think that what the United States is worried about at the moment is that there's a broader issue around the euro, and this is the game which is played, which is beyond Greece and beyond Greece's problems, because what's going on in Greece influences the parity between the euro and the dollar. The euro is sinking in a certain sense, and the dollar is going up. That's something that is an issue for the United States. And in that sense, Greece's problems are European problems, and are also problems that the US wants to discuss.
Well, let me ask you about what you call speculative attacks. Some people say they're coming from Wall Street banks, which helped hide Greece's debt and then bet against it. That's been reported. Is that what's happening?
Well, speculative attacks, there's a very nice analogy which has been used, and the Prime Minister used it this morning in a speech at Brookings, which is, here we have people that are taking an insurance on your neighbor's house and then setting fire to it in order to collect the insurance. That's the kind of behavior that we cannot allow. And that's the kind of behavior which is there when you have markets which are not regulated, which are opaque, they're not transparent, where you don't know what's going on, and people are hiding behind very complicated trades. And that's the kind of problems that led us to a financial crisis.
What are the 2 or 3 things that you would want President Obama, Secretary Geithner in the United States to do about these speculative attacks you're talking about?
Clearer rules, restrictions on naked CDS trading, more transparency.
Those naked CDS trading are when people don't have the instruments.
That's right, don't have the underlying bonds, and where they trade basically.
Which they're supposed to.
Which they're supposed to. Those kind of restrictions and more transparency, so that we would all know who the traders are, what they're trading exactly, would be hugely beneficial, and I think would act as a stabilizing force. Because if you look at Greece at the moment, we are forced to borrow at spreads, at interest rate differentials that are huge, at interest rates which are not viable. And you cannot ask a country to have a very big austerity program and then use all that money to be spent on higher interest rates, on the cost of borrowing. That's simply not viable for us.
Out of all this crisis, are there lessons for countries like the United States? Some people say our debt is headed to levels that will be close to what Greece's debt is now.
I think the U.S. is in a unique position. You have a reserve currency, and in having a reserve currency, you pretty much, I wouldn't say you write your own rules, but the rules that apply in the case of the U.S. are very different from the ones that apply to others. Yes, the U.S. is running a high deficit, there's no question about that. But it can finance it at the moment, and it can spend its way out of a recession. And I think the kind of fiscal stimulus package that the Obama administration has put in place has been very helpful to avoid a deeper recession in the U.S. In a Eurozone, if you're a small country, you have to abide by the broader rules, and you cannot do this kind of policies by yourself.
Greek Finance Minister George Papaconstantinou, thank you for your time.
Thank you.